The LA Rams beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past weekend. Matthew Stafford had a really great game. Now, do you think that Stafford proved himself by winning that game?
Real quick before we get into it, Leftwich looks like he's the leading candidate for the
Jaguars.
job.
That's lit. That's really cool. Good for him. Now, I know that the Rams almost blew this game, and it was pretty devastating to sit through that. As a Rams supporter this year, I do believe in the Rams. I do think that they're going to go to the Super Bowl, ultimately take it home. That being said, sitting through that comeback was hard. It was very difficult.
I hated it.
27-3 to see it go to 27-7. Your heart sinks to your balls. It was horrible. It was really brutal for me. But now in hindsight, as hindsight is so crystal clear 2020, I wouldn't want it any other way. Not any other way. Because you get the ball back, it's 41 seconds, right? But then Matthew Stafford takes the ball and scrambles, pulls a Dak Prescott. I'm freaking out. I don't understand why he's doing this. He almost fumbles the ball. Now it's 30 seconds. No timeout. 2 plays. You have to go down the field in 2 plays now. No timeouts. You got to get on the line. You got to spike. You got to get out of bounds. You got to do something. One throw to Cooper Kupp. Crosser over the middle. Gets out of bounds. Next play. Play of the game. Probably the play of Matthew Stafford's entire career. Pressure in his face. Poetic. Ndamukong Suh is coming up the middle. All in his face. Stafford has the poise to stay in the pocket. Let a strike go 40, 50 yards. On the money. Perfect. Right in the breadbasket to Cooper Kupp, who has been excellent all season. He was excellent this game. He was a 10 out of 10. Both of them were the team MVPs. And Staffy makes the throw of his life and puts the Rams in field goal position and Matt Gay to win the game for the Rams. In hindsight, this is everything I could have wanted, because all season I've had to sit in this chair and wait for a moment like this from Matthew Stafford, because my dear friend, Joel Moran, at Joel V. Moran on Twitter, constantly would remind me that Stafford has not been this performer in the playoffs. Hasn't had a playoff win. He can't trust Matthew Stafford until he sees him in the big game. I don't trust Matthew Stafford. I can't do it. I've heard that so many times on this show. Oh, my God, it made me sick. Because I know in my heart who Matthew Stafford is. He's shown it to me time and time again in Detroit. But because it was in Detroit, it means less, apparently, even though they're arguably the worst organization in football history. So now he comes in, and with the most pressure he's probably ever felt in his life, he just blew a 27-3 lead. Even though he didn't really blow it, the team did everything they could to let the Buccaneers back in this game.
Now football's a team game. Okay.
I've always made it a team game. I don't know what this guy's talking about. That being said, Cam Akers fumbles the ball. The center shoots it over Matthew Stafford's head. He shoots it back like 15 yards. Buccaneers are able to recover it. Immediately right after, Von Miller swipes the ball from Tom Brady. It was such a roller coaster of emotions for me. But now all the pressure was on Matthew Stafford. You had to have Matthew Stafford pick you guys up when you basically shut him out the entire second half. You said, hey, let's run this clock out. Let's try and just burn as much as we can. Matthew, you did enough for us. You played great. You've done a great job for us already. You killed them in the first half. You don't need to do anything else. Now his number's called on again. Almost 28 minutes later, 29 minutes later to come and make a play for them. And when you need him most, he steps up to the plate and hits a home run. I don't want to hear it ever again. Because the pressure he must have been feeling, well, maybe it's Matthew Stafford. He probably felt no pressure at all. He knew who he is, very confident in who he is. He knew that he can make a play that exciting, that extravagant in one of the biggest moments of the season. The biggest moment of the season for the Rams, without a doubt. 27-27 after being up 27-3. There's no more pressure that you could be feeling as a quarterback, as a player on the opposing team. Cam Akers understands that they're coming back. Oh, wow. I got to get this first down. I'm feeling all this stress. I'm feeling all this pressure I haven't felt before in my life. And I go and I fumble the football and give the Buccaneers a chance to go tie this game. And they do. Now, Cam Akers must be feeling like garbage. But then he must have remembered, oh, wow, I have a teammate in Matthew Stafford that has been in some pretty high leverage scenarios in his career and knows how to get it done, and showed it this Sunday. It's quiet. There's nothing anyone can say about Matthew Stafford Job's not done. Job is not done. No way, no how. Because he's going to prove it this upcoming weekend against San Fran, who they've struggled against this season, 0-2. McVay has struggled against Shanahan in his career, hasn't picked up a W. But I find it very hard to believe that a team, a division rival, is going to lose 3 times in a row. We saw it last season with the Buccaneers and the Saints. Saints got their number twice that season. Wasn't even close in the regular season. When it mattered, Tampa Bay came to play. History's going to rewrite itself. We're going to see the Rams coming away with this W against the Niners. And Matthew Stafford's going to go to the Super Bowl, and he's going to show everyone continuously, as he's done all year, that he's that dude. I never doubt him for a second.
I think that when actually experiencing the SoFi Stadium atmosphere, it's going to be a tough game for the 49ers. We'll preview the game later. I thought Matthew Stafford played a damn near perfect game. And versus Arizona, he played pretty much the same way, but it was a lot of gimmies versus Arizona. There was a lot of, I thought the offense worked in his favor much more for him to make these easy plays and for me to question it a little bit more, his playoff performances. But versus the Bucks pretty much shut down the run somewhat, even though they got some pretty good gains throughout the game. But Matthew Stafford, for the most part, was pretty much flawless as a quarterback and making his reads, being gutsy, making big-time throws. My question with Stafford never was if he's a great quarterback. I've always thought Stafford was a great quarterback, and before this season, I said this is the year he shows everybody he's a top 10 quarterback. I had him ranked as a top 10 quarterback before the season started. I put Dak Prescott just outside my top 10. Matthew Stafford was infused in my top 10.
Oh, boy.
My question with Stafford was always in the playoffs, how is he going to perform? And so far, he's been great. He's, right now, the face of it's bad situations, not the quarterback. For the majority of Matthew Stafford's career, it's always been exactly what the game was looking like it was going to end. It was always his teammates making a mistake. It was always his team not being good enough around him. The center snapping the ball way too high. Those are mistakes that happen in Detroit. Running backs fumbling, costing him games. Stafford saw that and was like, this has happened to me before. I've been in this position before. I thought Todd Bowles made an egregious mistake.
I can agree with
by
you there.
calling a zero blitz. I thought that was, for one, Stafford's been one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz. A zero blitz in that position when you have no defensive back that can cover Cooper Kupp was the dumbest play that I've seen. It
was bad.
It's like Greg Williams against the Raiders last year.
It was such a dumb play. I was really in shock.
They had a bigger agenda, though.
And if Cooper Kupp had been a little bit faster, he probably scores on that touchdown. For Matt Gay to miss a field goal, 5 yards short, a 40-yard field goal, things like that just don't happen, not even in scripts of movies. Actually, they do because football movies are very cheesy. Mm-hmm. Right now, Matthew Stafford should feel very fortunate that the Rams didn't blow this game. Because the exact argument I was having with you guys last segment about narratives, Matthew Stafford wins, what's the narrative? Can never doubt Stafford again. Stafford proved himself. Had the Rams lost, the narrative is, man, another disappointing season. Man, the Rams traded 2 first-round picks for this guy, even though he had a great game.
I don't know, bro.
That's the winning bias that comes in when we talk about these things.
There were some blasphemous things that happened in that game. I think if they lost, Stafford was not going to be to blame. They would have looked at Cam Akers for fumbling twice, the ridiculous snap that gave the Bucs the ball at the 50-yard line, the missed kick by Matt Gay, who's been 95% on the season. I think the Aaron Rodgers debate we just had against the Matt Stafford, if he lost the debate, would have been very different because Stafford played out of his mind and Aaron Rodgers did not.
The thing about that is that if Stafford had lost, that if he gets the ball back, because he had the ball back in that final drive, if he doesn't do something on that drive, even though there wasn't much time left, and the Bucs win the toss and they win, everybody's looking back to that moment. So the same way that I'm praising Matthew Stafford when he wins, I would have praised him when he lost. Matthew Stafford had a phenomenal game.
Wow.
Right now, he's proving himself. He's proving that he was always this type of quarterback. This has been a career season for him. He's tied his total touchdowns, completion percentage highest of his career. But like you said, the job's not finished. My doubts on Stafford have diminished greatly. I feel much more confident in Matthew Stafford. But against this 49ers defense that's been very good against the pass, I am not completely sure how he's going to look.
A lot of what he said was basically on hypotheticals.
What was hypothetical about it?
If he didn't get the ball back, if they would have lost, people would be looking at Matthew Stafford like, oh, he can't get it done. If he would have won, then, they would have looked at it like, oh, wow, Matthew Stafford's great under pressure. He can get the job done. If he doesn't score in the last second chance and Buccaneers get the ball and they lose, then Matthew Stafford is looked at completely different. I'm going to talk about what actually happened.
I'm going to
talk about two throws.
I feel like you missed the entire point of what I said.
I don't.
If Rodgers threw for 360 and 2 touchdowns, we would have had a very different.
I'm sorry.
It's happened before.
The only thing I wanted to hear come out of your mouth was, "Oh my goodness, Matthew Stafford! What you did was absolutely amazing."
They did not say Matthew Stafford had a perfect game.
That's not what I'm saying. I don't want to hear the hypotheticals, though.
No, I just told you.
I don't want to.
It's not the hypotheticals. It's the narratives that would have been what the narratives would have been had he lost.
Would have been. Hypotheticals.
Yeah, but I said that's the narrative. I never said that's what I would have said.
I understand, but I don't think that would have been the narrative. I just want to hear praise. If he would have lost after Cam Akers fumbles, the center throws it over his head. What more can Matthew Stafford have done?
I mean, we've seen before quarterbacks get blamed for much less.
And when? Brady threw for 505, lost to the Eagles. I did not hear one peep about how Brady lost him the game.
No one's talking about Josh Allen losing that game.
No one.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's performance though was like near flawless.
And Tom Brady threw for 505.
But even then, there are still a lot of people out there that say there's a gap between Mahomes and Allen because Mahomes won.
People are probably dumb.
No, but like I'm saying, that's the narrative though. We're just talking strictly narratives. I'm not talking about what I feel. I'm just saying that the same way we talked about the Aaron Rodgers thing last segment, Matthew Stafford, because he won and because his team didn't completely blow the game there at the end because he had to save them back from the game. Now we view him as a guy who has proven himself in the league, who has proven himself in big time moments. Had he lost, you're waiting an entire year for that to happen again and for you to have complete bragging rights over that moment.
It's like I told you against the Cowboys when he lost that first play, that playoff game against the boys where they picked up the pass interference flag. He should have won that game. And I'm telling you wholeheartedly, they did not lose that game because Matthew Stafford.
I never said they did.
But I'm telling you're saying he didn't. He hasn't shown you in the playoffs. That was your argument beforehand.
I mean, because his record in primetime games is not very good. His stats in primetime games, he turns into a very different quarterback.
But I'm just telling you, in the playoffs, that game that I'm talking to you specifically, that I would use
my analysis
to help him.
My analysis was the totality of the big time games that he's been placed in.
And in the biggest moments of a game, forget about prime time, in the biggest moments of the game, he's third active in comeback victories.
I mean, he's been put in that position far more times than any other quarterback.
See, but you are again minimizing what he's done.
No, because
here we go. He was put in this position, right? Game-winning drive. Yeah. All right, 27-27. You have 30 seconds. You have to get down the field. 2 throws. Doesn't even blink. So what? There's nothing you could say. Him saying this to me right now, I don't want to hear it.
Joe. Vinny Testaverde has more fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives than Brett Favre and Joe Montana. What does that tell you?
Vinny Testaverde was, yeah, exactly. He's clutch.
That tells me that Vinny Testaverde had more opportunities to come back because his team was behind far more often than
still got to get it done and win.
Come on, man. Why are we not giving the credit for that? Like that's not a stat you should overlook.
I'm just saying because Matthew Stafford is so high in this stat, it doesn't mean that I trust him over other quarterbacks.
But you trust Derek Carr though. So why trust Derek Carr and not Matthew Stafford? That's what's boggling my mind.
I think Derek Carr is a better fourth quarter quarterback.
And that's to bed now.
Stafford's been phenomenal all season in the fourth quarter. We've talked about this at length. I don't
think it's completely to bed. We got to see Derek Carr in a similar Rams situation.
Against the GOAT, he did this. The GOAT's team, excuse me, because it's a team sport, 100%. Against the GOAT's team as they're coming back from a crazy deficit where all the pressure has completely been tossed onto the Rams, Stafford steps up. There's nothing to say.
Yeah.
And this validates everything he's done before also. It has to.
We are not on different wavelengths here. We are agreeing.
Okay.
I have already said Matthew Stafford had a damn perfect game. I've already said for me, I've always thought he was a great quarterback. That's for one.
I don't want to hear that. I want to hear it. Keep going.
I've already said he had a perfect game.
Keep going.
Now, I will say, I still don't fully trust Stafford.
Wow. Oh my God,
That's
bro.
insane,
What
That's insane.
else?
I knew it was
What
coming.
else you have
I
to
knew
do?
it was coming.
What else
I
you have to
know,
say, bro?
I don't.
He's got to win the damn Super Bowl.
He has to beat the 49ers. He has to win
He
it.
beat Tom Brady's team as
I
they were
don't-
coming
I
back
don't-
27.
I know,
Like
bro.
it's crazy
Smoke
to me.
the Cardinals.
I'm getting emotional. I'm spitting all over the place.
The Cardinals, I mean, come on, bro. The Cardinals were a mess.
I don't even care about the Cardinals.
Unprepared.
He beat Tampa Bay in
Packers
Tampa
look
Bay.
unprepared.
I can't believe you.
Nah, I just think the Niners were just
can't
freaking
believe you.
awesome.
I can't believe you. They did this without Andrew Whitworth also.
No, and they're a backup
Boone
left tackle.
played a great
He
game.
played phenomenal.
Come
He
on,
did play
bro.
a great game.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, a left tackle who's been with the Rams all season, he did not play for them. One of their leaders
Yeah,
in the
but
locker
and
room
no
did
Boone
not
was
play
just
for them.
as good as if he
was
would have
great.
played.
He was
though.
great, no doubt about it.
This game for Stafford, you guys said it. It was spectacular. But the biggest takeaway that I got from that was this last drive. That's why the Rams went out. They ate all of that dead money from Jared Goff's contract. They traded multiple first-round picks. You had people beginning of the season who didn't really trust Matt Stafford all the way. Is he really a huge upgrade over Jared Goff? But that's why you go out and you trade for Matt Stafford, who is and has proven himself to be a top-level quarterback who can take his team to a championship, to a Super Bowl, if he has the right team around him, which I do believe he's going to do this year. The fact that you have 47 seconds to go with no timeouts and the momentum has just been absolutely stripped from you. You got to remember, this is when Cam Akers fumbles. This Bucks get the ball back. It's 4th and 1. You have a chance. The Rams defense has a chance to stop the Buccaneers. You get the ball back, game over. Instead, they hand it off to Lenny. Not only do they get the first down, they go in and get the touchdown. So now it goes from, oh man, we're about to win this game to we're about to lose this game to now, okay, here comes Stafford. We're about to win it again. Beautiful balls to Cooper Kupp, 2 of them, pause. But what really impressed me and what showed me that Sean McVay, this is why it's different, because the first play he goes and gets sacked. A lot of teams, maybe it's a little bit different because I'm a Jets fan and I don't see playoff football all the time. A lot of other teams would have need the ball there. We know what? We played a terrible second half. We fumbled 3 times. We had our kicker, he missed a kick. And overall, we're just playing really bad football in this second half. There would have been a lot of coaches, a lot of coaching staffs and quarterbacks who said, you know what, man? Let's just knee the ball, get it to overtime, and let's see what happens there. But Sean McVay said, I went out on a limb. I got my guy. So he made up 2 amazing plays, one to Cooper Kupp to get him out on the sideline, and that bomb that Drew said, you put it perfectly in the Brad basket to end up winning the game. You guys hit on all the nails, but what really stood out to me was that last drive, and that's why you go out and you get an elite quarterback, because without that, you're not winning a Super Bowl.
I'll change my vocabulary a bit. Actually, I'll just say this statement. I still don't trust Stafford.
Disgusting.
And you want to know why? Because when it comes to trusting athletes, when it comes to big time moments, when it comes to big time players, as fans, we either have it in our hearts to believe this guy is going to do it or he's not going to do it. In my heart of hearts, I can't fully invest in Stafford. But what I tweeted on Twitter is nothing but the truth. Do I trust Stafford? No. Will I ever question Stafford that he can do it? No. I won't question Stafford.
I hate it.
You don't question him, but you don't trust him?
This is the
Yes.
most
Yes.
How does that make sense,
It's called
bro?
pick
What do you mean?
aside,
No,
man.
no,
How does
it's
that
not.
make sense?
You
won't
what do you
question him,
mean?
but you won't trust him?
How
Bro.
can we make the show named Pick a
I
Side?
don't-
and
bro, I
refuse
don't
to?
get it. I don't get
Trusting
it.
comes from the heart. Trusting comes from the heart. I won't question Stafford, but I don't fully trust him. There's always a pick waiting to happen with Stafford. There's always a pick waiting to happen with Stafford.
Bro just read that in the comments section and just reiterated it.
Because I read it. That's a fact.
No,
Is that not a fact?
Man, he played perfect
He threw
against
the-
the
I'm saying, he threw the
Buccaneers.
ball 40
This
times, didn't throw an interception.
This Buccaneers team
He had one
that you said
questionable pass.
when
One.
everyone's
The
healthy.
entire game.
Let me
Yeah,
get
like
him. Let me
two.
get him. Let me get him.
Oh, God
Let me
forbid.
get him. Let me get him. Because I don't know how many times this season I heard him say, wait till the Buccaneers secondary gets healthy because we see what they can do when they're all healthy.
They looked
This is
unhealthy. What
This is
can
the
I say?
first time that they all played together since week 1. And what happened?
Got exposed.
They got absolutely lit up, torched.
360.
So it was a horrible game. It was a horrible game plan. I'm not. What am I going to say? Like, Todd Bowles called a bad game.
It's always someone to blame. Never taking responsibility.
Bad game, and Bulls got all the credit in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, I mean, he called a great game there, and his pass rush got home. Pass rush didn't really get home. So, what can you really say? I was going to say something, but I'm forgetting quite what I'm going to say, so I'm going to fill in this time with this quote that I read from Michael Rosenberg from Sports Illustrated. He wrote an excellent article on Matthew Stafford and his career. And this quote actually should be the theme of this show because we've debated about it a lot on this show. You don't have to be a great quarterback to be labeled a winner. And you can be a great quarterback and still get called a loser. For the majority of Matthew Stafford's career, that's what he's been labeled, a loser, despite being a great quarterback, despite having a 74-90-1 record in Detroit. You place him in his first really great, stable situation outside of those Jim Caldwell years with Detroit. He has a career season. He wins 2 straight playoff games, one against a Cardinals team that we didn't think they were going to play that bad, and one against the Bucs, which that was warranted. The Rams completely dominated the game, and Matthew Stafford had a really great big-time performance. Matthew Stafford is the perfect example of why we can't label quarterbacks just off of winning, just off of a quarterback win stat. And I don't think winning is a quarterback stat. Jimmy Garoppolo is 4-1 in the playoffs right now, and he's only thrown for over 200 yards once. And in that game he threw for over 200 yards, he lost in the Super Bowl. I think Matthew Stafford, for the most entirety of his career, has been miscasted, has been mislabeled. He's always been a great quarterback. Now he's showing me that in the playoffs in prime time, he's proving it to me more. And maybe that trust is going to come with time. I won't question Stafford having a big-time game versus the 49ers. I won't question him having a big-time game if he eventually gets to the Super Bowl. But in my heart of hearts, do I fully trust it yet? I got to see it.
I don't think we were labeling Stafford as a loser in Detroit. We all recognized he was an elite talent who was just being buried in a bad organization.
Bro.
Just like we do with Derek Carr.
Okay, bro. I feel like this is the disconnect we're having right here.
You take my opinion on the quarterback winning stat and you don't put any context behind it.
This is the disconnect we're having. The disconnect we're having is I feel like you saying that Stafford wasn't labeled as a loser in Detroit is wrong. Yes, he was.
Okay, let me rephrase that. I didn't label him as a loser.
Not a bad quarterback.
I think
that's what Joel meant to say.
Not a good quarterback because of what? Why did people think Matthew Stafford wasn't this good?
I never thought Stafford was bad. Never.
I mean, okay. But people didn't think he was this great. Why?
Because they don't watch film.
Why, though? Simplify it. Because they don't win. Because he didn't win. And that happens with a lot of quarterbacks. And Stafford right now is becoming the poster child for people have to stop putting so much emphasis on that win-loss column.
I mean, Marino still gets all his flowers.
Wow,
bro.
We literally had the same exact thought.
Yeah.
Dan Marino
Gets
literally was a top 100 NFL quarterback. I think he was in that, what did they do, 12 quarterbacks, right? Something like that. He was in that class with Peyton Manning, with Tom Brady, with John Elway, with Roger Staubach, Unitas. He never won a single Super Bowl. Didn't matter. Because when you're great, you're great. You get acknowledged for it. It's that simple. And the fact that he did it with the Detroit Lions, the worst franchise in football, to overlook it is foul and rude.
Dan Marino won in Miami.
He didn't win a Super Bowl.
I know, but like
he went to a Super Bowl his rookie season and never went back.
No, I know, but they had multiple winning seasons with Don Shula. Don Shula was one of the greatest coaches of all time.
No doubt.
He didn't win the big one, but he was a consistent winner. The difference with Stafford is that for half of the time in Detroit just didn't make the playoffs. And that's really what it was. That's why they labeled him that.
Well, it's because, again, he's on Detroit, the worst organization ever that barely knows how to put a team together by any means.
I just don't care what other people are saying. Like, if other people are going to call him a loser, then I can't do anything about that. I know that he's a good quarterback. He's just on a bad team.
In the offseason, when the trade happened, it got mixed reactions. There were one side of people saying that he wasn't worth it because of the win-loss record, and there were others saying it was worth it.
I feel like if you have a set of eyes, you could tell that Matt Stafford is a far superior quarterback.
It's pretty
than
simple.
Goff.
Okay, but we're not talking about what you think.
I agree. No,
we're talking about what the story was.
I agree with you, bro. You're 100% right about that. The narrative was wrong, and if you bought into that narrative, you simply, one, did not take the time out to go watch Matthew Stafford when he was in Detroit, or two, Google highlights of Matthew Stafford doing unbelievable things with the worst franchise in football. I can't say it enough times. They're horrible.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers has already said it that, I think this was last year that Stafford, or earlier this season, that Stafford has been doing what Mahomes has been doing for years.
Exactly. When you care about the game, you watch the game, you understand how great Matthew Stafford is, which is why I'm so surprised at you who have not been on this ship with me.
I called Matthew Stafford a top 10 quarterback.
See, but I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. Like, again, I could say all this. I can say all this about.
What do you mean?
God.
Hold up. Drew.
It's like this vague, he's a top 10 quarterback. Like, what does that do to me?
It's like a backhanded, like, I said this.
No, it's not.
I tweeted it in 2019.
No, it's not.
I said that the Lions were going to win the division over the Packers.
No, it's not.
I believed in Matthew Stafford.
No, it's not. Because, okay, you're a big Kyler guy. Kyler, do you trust him in the playoffs?
Yes.
100%. Like, you're not even thinking about it.
I trust Kyler Murray.
Okay. I think Kyler's a great quarterback. I don't trust him in the playoffs yet.
But here you go. So, but then you were on us for not trusting Burrow because we needed to see it, right? So screw me, right?
No. I was on you for saying Lamar was better than Burrow. I don't care if you trust Burrow or not. That's what you feel. But I was on you guys for saying that Burrow wasn't better than Lamar because he didn't win in the playoffs yet. That's what I was on you guys for. I didn't care that you didn't trust Burrow.
It wasn't a playoff thing. It was Burrow's had a nice 4 or 5 game stretch. Let me see a little bit more there.
Well, and he's had a whole season of it. It was just a 4 or 5 game. It was a whole season.
But this second half of the season, especially towards the last month of the season, he upped his level to, elite status.
Yeah, but just me from watching Burrow, I've always had that confidence in Burrow. But
he's a stud.
That confidence in Burrow didn't just arise from the NFL. That confidence in Burrow was back in LSU when he was still a projected 3rd, 4th round pick, and I thought he'd be the Heisman Trophy winner. So that trust in Burrow was all the way back in LSU where he won a national championship, and I'm like, this is the man. I don't even question he's the man. So in Cincinnati, now having this great season, elite type season, now we rank him this high. I was never on you guys for not trusting Burrow. I was on you guys because you said Lamar was better, and I disagree with Lamar being better. And I was on you guys because you guys said you needed to see it in the playoffs. You needed to see him win some playoff games. I personally didn't need to see Burrow win playoff games to put him over Lamar.